Hello everyone, and welcome to another Pathfinder adventure card game scenario. This is scenario 3.1 with the character Drelm. So at the start of level 3 in the Blessings deck for this campaign, we're randomly shuffling in Curse of the Ravenous. So we'll see how challenging this level is. So Drelm's starting off level 3 over at the Glass Pavilion, where he starts every level. So we're at this location at the start of your turn. Examine the top card of your location deck. Alright, so that's what we're going to be dealing with. Drelm's hand is fine. Advancing the Blessings deck. We have to examine this card. So we examine. It has a trigger trait, but fortunately it is a item. So it says here, when you examine this card, you may reveal a blessing that has the Anubis trait to automatically acquire this card. And then it has the effect when a character at your location defeats a monster. Let's see, read that. Okay, I mean, it's interesting. So what we're going to do, Drelm has Intelligence 10 or Charisma Diplomacy 7. Drelm's D6 in both of those categories. But the Charisma, that's the cheaper one, or the lower one to use. Fortunately, Drelm has in his hand, he has a Blessing of Wajet, which allows him to, he can discard this card to add 2d8 to any check to acquire a boon. So we're going to do that. We want this boon, just because it's a level 3 item. So 2d8 plus 6, let's see what we get. So we get 6 and 5 is 11, 12, 13. Alright, so we gain this card. Pretty snazzy. But I don't think we're going to keep it. We're going to go ahead and toss that when we're resetting Drelm's hand. Okay, and now we will go ahead and advance the Blessings deck. We have to examine the top card, so we examine. Okay, it's another trigger. Ouch. So it says when you examine this card, encounter it. Okay, so we have to encounter the inevitable trap. So it's a trigger skirmish trap magic. So since it's a trap, Drelm can add his divine skill, and his wisdom skill is a d8. So right off the bat, he's rolling 2d8, and he's adding a total of plus 4, and he only needs a 10. So I think my odds are pretty good. Rolling 2d8, we rolled a 5 and an 8. That was an 8. So cool. So we succeeded at defeating the inevitable trap. Wow, so 2 triggered traits in a row. That Glass Pavilion is pretty deadly. Alright, looking at Drelm's hand, the hand is fine. So advancing the Blessings deck, it's a Blessing of the Ancients. Examining this top card, we examine it. Okay, it's a Blessing of Pharasma. Divine 5. Well, Drelm has a Divine skill of Wisdom plus 4, so it's an auto acquire. Well, it's a pretty useful spell. Right now, Drelm has a Blessing of Pharasma in his hand. He also has the Death Grip spell. I mean, he's got the Spear of the Watchful Guardian, 2 armors. He's doing pretty well. We don't really discard this card, so we'll just go ahead and use it. It says discard this card to explore your location, which is a benefit. We don't have to examine cards. It's always deadly in the Mummy's Mask. So exploring, okay, we get the villain. So it says here when you examine this card. Well, that's cool. We did not examine that card. So there's no, what does it say? Okay, there's no difficulty to increase. So before you act, you're dealt 1d4 plus 1 poison damage. That is insane. Rolling d4. Wow, so we rolled a 4 plus 1. So we take 5 poison damage. Well, fortunately, Drelm has this loot armor where he can discard this card to reduce the poison damage to 0. So sweet. So he has to bury or discard it. Man, that's a lifesaver there. Can you imagine losing 5 cards? That's like his entire hand size. Alright, so we got some options here. We have to do a combat 23 check. We got the Spear of the Watchful Guardian, strength melee, plus 1d6 plus 1, or we can do another d6. So basically d10 plus 2d6, or here we have Divine Skill plus 2d8. With a Blessing of the Pharasma, we can add 2 dice, so we can actually be rolling 4d8 and adding 4, or we're going to be rolling 2d6 and a d10. I think we're going to go this route. We're going to go ahead and go that route. See what happens. So that's what we're doing. Death Grip and Blessing of Pharasma. Rolling 4d8, and we add 4 to this roll. Alright, let's go ahead and see what we got. Come on, high rollers. Alright, so we rolled an 8, we rolled a 4, we rolled a 5, and we rolled a 6. So we got 10, 18, 19, 20, 23, and we got to add our Divine, our Wisdom skill, which is +4. Alright, wow. So great roll. We succeeded in defeating this villain. It says here, if defeated, you may recharge 1d4 random cards from your discard pile. I mean, we could, but as it is, thanks to Death Grip combo Blessing of Pharasma, we're able to defeat this villain, and we're able to close this location. Alright, awesome. Well, that's pretty interesting. Having this villain, this is one of my favorite all-time difficult villains in the whole game. So I was really glad that we had some cards to help us out with. So let's go ahead and do a deck check for Drelm. So deck check for Drelm, there he is. Let's see what he's got. So he had to bury that armor or discard the armor. So right now for Drelm's deck, there's his armor slot, there's his blessings. So he got that really cool item. So he's definitely going to go to a trader. Blessing of Pharasma. Let's see. So it's level 3. So it's always exciting starting a new level because we're going to have some options for getting new gear and new loot. So this is the state of Drelm's deck. So you know exactly what's going on with his deck. It's got a lot of cool stuff there. There it is right there. Go ahead and kind of center it for you guys. So the reward for this scenario for level 3.1 was this loot item, the Manufra's Favor. Let's go ahead and zoom in on there. So it says here, display this card next to the scenario while displayed. Any character may recharge a card to add 1d12 to his diplomacy check. Wow. So that is like really powerful, considering that Drelm only has a diplomacy. So he doesn't even have diplomacy. So his diplomacy is only 1d4. So here he'd have 1d4 plus that. Wow. And then if this scenario's adventure deck number is 4 or higher, any character may remove this card from the game to draw a random ally that has the adventure deck number. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I think we want to keep this. Actually, you know what? I'm not too sure. I mean, it's a great thing to trade. What we're going to do is Drelm is going to trade with a trader. And, you know, he's not too happy with his armor selection. He's going to go to the ghoul market. He's going to see what kind of armors he can get. He wants more armors that actually protect him from poison damage. Because right now, he's not too happy with the armors he's got. I mean, he's pretty much a brawler. So let's go ahead. The ghoul market has items of level 2 or 3. Since this is level 3. Okay, so here's what we got. So the ghoul market is offering an alchemist suit. I mean, so that reduces poison damage by 3. Then you may search your deck for a card that has the alchemist trait to draw it. So if to discard that card, if proficient with light armors, bury this card to reduce acid, cold combat, electricity, damage to 0. You may see an intelligence 9 or craft tech to recharge it. So, I mean, that's interesting. I like how it saves me from the poison. So a lot of alchemists. The ghouls market was big on the alchemist stuff this time around. Reveal this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2, or to reduce another type of damage by 5 if you recharge a card that has a trait that matches the damage type. Wow, that is interesting. So right now, Drelm has the embalming fluid. So this is with a combo would be pretty interesting. But let's go ahead and look at this hide armor of fire resistance. Well, this just reduces combat or fire damage. Banish this card to reduce all damage dealt to you by 0. Well, the goal of going to the ghoul market was to get something that would help protect them from poison damage. I can't stand poison damage. And so that's the one. So it's interesting. I mean, maybe Drelm's turning into an alchemist. Or maybe he met a buddy alchemist that would help him out. So as it is, like see this armor selection really isn't that great. This is a great armor. He wants to keep that. We can't trade any of this stuff, but we're definitely going to get rid of that card to make room for the Alchemist suit. And we have to give the Ghoul Market 2 items to trade. We just earned the Effigy of Anubis, which we don't want. We do want to get rid of that to trade. And, excuse me, I think we will go ahead and get rid of Manufra's Favor. Just got it. We want to trade it. We want better armor. I think that's the way to go. Alright, well that is the state of the Drelm's deck. We finished Scenario 3.1, got some cool items, we're able to trade. So Drelm's deck's looking a little better these days. Alright, well thanks for watching. Pretty awesome adventure, and I'll have another adventure up shortly. Alright, thank you.